श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। शारदा शारदाम्बोजवदने वदनाम्बुजा सर्वदा सर्वदास्माकं सन्निधिः सन्निधिं क्रियात्। बर्हापीठं नटवरवपुः कर्णयोः कर्णिकारं बिभ्रद्वासः कनककपिशं वैजयन्तीं च मालां रन्ध्रान् वेणोः अधरसुधया पूरयन् गोपवृन्दैः बृन्दारण्यं स्वपदरमणं प्राविशद्गीतकीर्तिः। वन्दे कृष्णपदारविन्दयुगलं यस्मिन् कुरङ्गीदृशां वक्षोजप्रणयीकृते विलसति स्निग्धोऽङ्गरागस्वतः। काश्मीरं दलशोणिमोपरिदनः कस्तूरिकां नीलिमा श्रीखण्डं नख चन्द्रकान्तिलहरी निर्व्याजमातन्वते। श्यामश्रीर्मधु यस्य यस्य मधु तत्कैशोरमत्यद्भुतं क्रीडा यस्य मधूनि यस्य च मधूनि एकादशाक्षक्रियाः माध्वी यस्य विलोकनाङ्गवचसां भङ्गी यदीयं वपु रूपं मध्वथ भूषणात् च मधु व्यामोहयेत् कं न सः। अस्ति स्वस्तरुणीकराग्रविगलत् कल्पप्रसूनाप्लुतं वस्तु प्रस्तुत वेणुनादलहरी निर्वाण निर्व्याकुलं स्रस्तस्रस्तनिबद्धनी बिवलसद्गोपीसहस्रावृतं हस्तन्यस्तनतापवर्गमखिलोदारं किशोराकृतिः। मन्दं मन्दं मधुरनिनदैर्वेणुमापूरयन्तं बृन्दं बृन्दावनभुवि गवां चारयन्तं चरन्तं छन्दोबागे शतमखमखध्वंसिनां दानवानां हन्तारं तं कथय रसने गोपकन्याभुजङ्गम्। कस्तूरीतिलकं ललाटपटले वक्षस्थले कौस्तुभं नासाग्रे वरमौक्तिकं करतले वेणुः करे कङ्कणं सर्वाङ्गे हरिचन्दनं चकलयन् कण्ठे च मुक्तावली। गोपस्त्रीपरिवेष्टितो विजयते गोपालचूडामणिः। राधादास्यमपासयः प्रयतते गोविन्दसङ्गाशया सोऽयं पूर्णसुधारुचे परिजयं राकां विना काङ्क्षति। किञ्च श्यामहृदिप्रवाल लहरीबीजं नयेतां विदुः ते प्राप्यातिमहामृताम्बुधिमहो बिन्दुं परं प्राप्नुयुः। निखिलभुवनलक्ष्मी नित्यलीलास्पदाभ्यां कमलविवनवीथी गर्वसर्वङ्कषाभ्यां प्रणमदभयदानप्रौढिगाढातृदाभ्यां किमपि वहतु चेतः कृष्णपादाम्बुजाभ्यां तरुणारुणकरुणामयविपुलायतनयनं कमलाकुचकुलसीभरविपुलीकृतपुलकं मुरलीरवतरलीकृतमुनिमानसनलिनं मम खेलदु मदचेदसि मधुराधरममृतम्। पल्लवारण पाणिपङ्कजसङ्गिवेणुरवाकुलं फुल्लपाटलपाटली परवादिपादसरोरुहम् उल्लसन्मधुराधरद्युतिमञ्जरी सरसाननं वल्लवीकुचकुम्भकुङ्कुमपङ्किलं प्रभुमाश्रये। वंशीविभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलाधरोष्ठात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखादरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय कृष्णायाक्लिष्टकारिणे नमो वेदान्तवेद्याय गुरवे बुद्धिसाक्षिणे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. Sri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha. Shivaya Gurave Namaha. So, in the last session, they had said that Tesham Vajah Pratipojyeti Eduktam Tat Pratipujanam Karoti. Sudha had said that having received the questions and honor and respect from puja from Shaunagadi Maharshis, he did Pratipujanam. He respected them back. So that is what Sridhara is writing as an introduction to the fifth verse. Tat Pratipujanam Karoti. That's what Sridhara says for today's verse. And what is that verse? Munayas sadhu prishtoham bhavadbhihi lokamangalam yat krutah krishna samprasnaha yenatma samprasidati. That is the verse, today's verse. The Padacheda is Munayaha sadhu prishtaha aham bhavadbhihi lokamangalam yat krutaha Krishna samprasnaha yena atma suprasidati. That is a Padacheda. And the Anvaya would be He Munayaha bhavadbhihi aham sadhu lokamangalam prishtaha yat Krishna samprasana kritaha yena atma antakaranam suprasidati. Atma suprasidati. So the meaning is He Munayaha, O sages. Sadhu, very well. Prishtaha, you have questioned. Aham, me. So I have been questioned by you in a very well-mannered way. Why? Bhavadbhihi, by all of you. Lokamangalam, the welfare of the entire world. Yat, because kritaha was made. Krishna samprasnaha, because it is a relevant question regarding Sri Krishna. Yena, by which Atma, the self, suprasidati, becomes completely satisfied. So sages, you have done very well in asking me a question which is conducive to the welfare of the entire humanity, because your inquiry relates to Sri Krishna Samprasnaha, a topic which completely purifies and satisfies the heart. So that is the meaning of this verse. Here Sridhara writes, He Munayaha sadhu yatha bhavati tathaham prishtaha. O sages, you have asked a very good question. Yataha lokanam mangalam etat. Because the entire humanity is going to benefit by your question. Yada Krishna Vrishnayaha samprasnaha kritaha. Because you have asked a question regarding Sri Krishna's pastimes. There he writes, Sridhara, Sarvashastrartha sarodhara prasnasyapi Krishne paryavasanat evam uktam. Meaning, the intent of Sudha was that the entire Shastrartha ends up in Krishna. So the Sarvashastrartha sarodharaha, that is what Sridhara is hinting, which means Shastrartha saram. What is Shastrartha saram? It is dharma, the enquiry of dharma. That is the essential meaning or purpose of the Shastra. And this, when you raise this Shastrartha saram or dharma, it naturally leads to the discovery of Satyam or truth. That is presented as Sri Krishna in Bhagavatam. Satyam itself is presented as Krishna. That is why Sridhara says, Krishne paryavasanat, which is the second part. The enquiry of dharma will naturally end up in Satyam or Sri Krishna. So basically it is about dharma and Satyam. So we have to look at this Satya and dharma. That is what this the essence of this verse is all about, according to Sridhara. Why dharma? Because The Shastras, they present dharma as a purushartha or a subjective means resulting in the welfare of oneself and all. That's why he says Loka Mangalam. And the clarity of this understanding of dharma is gained only by consistent enquiry of the Shastras. Each individual is perfect. According to the Shastra, he is Purnaha. And therefore, he has got all the equipment in himself. And the pursuit of dharma needs no other equipment or instrument other than the given body, mind, sense complex. So those karma, those actions that help us gain clarity of reality is termed as dharma in the Shastras. And Shastra uses a term to describe dharma. It is yajna in the succinct Mimamsa language. In the meta language, it is defined as yajna. Because the Vedas are full of allegorical representation. It methodically in the Karmakanda presents the yajna or sacrifice as an allegory of spiritual journey. So a systematic dinacharya, a lifestyle aimed at gaining clarity of one's innermost reality is presented in this Vaidika Achara. And that is why that is the foremost dharma. And Bhagavatam mainly deals with dharma or norms that must guide the one who is seeking or inquiring or doing meditation on this truth. Satyam, truth, and dharma or yajna, sacrifice, these two are the bedrock where an ideal life must be put up in its foundations. But sadly, these are the ideals that are overlooked by the common man, as he is reluctant about making this his own. The ordinary man often finds them obstructing his advancement in material world. He cannot put together advancement and dharma together. Then why does the Shastra present dharma and satya if they are really impractical, remote and unachievable? Because dharma or individual virtue is really impossible to attain without the involvement of and the collaboration of other Vishesha dharmas or exemplar virtues. And thus each will help to accomplish a wholeness when all of them will be perfected together. And in conclusion, that dharma or the individual virtue will push this aspirant into perfection. And this will become the cause of them to recommend that one particular virtue. Virtue or dharma cannot be studied by taking a common man as a model, but it has to be studied in the best specimen. To know the qualities of diamond, a polished diamond has to be examined and not an uncut, crude diamond. Likewise, the human virtues like satya, dharma, this has to be studied by studying Bhagavatas, persons who have become refined with no trace of adharma, and thereby they are devoid of all base tendencies, durvasanas in them. It is then that we will discern the norms of virtue or dharma. And Bhagavatam is a summation of these virtues, these Kalyana Gunas, through the life of Sri Krishna. It is conspicuously complete in its representation of human virtuous life. One can observe that Vyasa does not consider the rejection of strife and sorrows in life as the ideal state, for the simple reason it is abnormal and unfeasible. The sanctity of any individual is not guaranteed by the power and prosperity he has amassed, which could get comforts out of life. But real divinity consists in how he bore and overcame the disparities that the life presents, how he weathered through it in a dignified manner, unruffled, unscathed, through all its common perils, calmly transcending them with his spiritual strength. We can use science or material prosperity to eliminate the impediments for spiritual pursuits. But we should remember that material prosperity is not the end, the all, the final cure of worldly sorrows. But on the other hand, if we try to oppose and overthrow the role of spiritual culture, samskaras, atma samskaras, then it can lead us to a dreadful, sorrowful situation. Scientific discoveries may extend the duration of life by these new vaccines, creating fresh troubles again. And the extra span of life is again can be squandered away in pursuing new pleasures or in suffering stranger conflicts and strifes. So throughout the ups and downs, whether opulence comes or goes, the spiritual pursuit should always continue, because literatures like Bhagavatam alone provides the inner strength to face the unavoidable drawbacks of life. From the evil Kamsa to the Paramahamsa like Shuka, Bhagavatam has a place for all in its scheme of things. This naturally has made Shastras full of conflicting statements. There are merits which become demerits at a particular stage of development or evolution. That's why Shastras has been called a juxtaposition of ideas rather than a dogma. And they have a unity that has to be discovered through samanvaya or reconciliation of conflicting ideas, which is so well depicted in the pastimes of Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam. That is why Sridhar Swami pointed out Sarvashastrodhara Prashnasya Krishne Paryavasanat Evamuktam. O sages, you did enquire well because your enquiry relates to Sri Krishna, a topic which completely enlightens and purifies the heart. So that is the 5th verse. Now the next 6th verse is the answer to the question which was asked in the last chapter, in the Shat Prashna. In the 6th question, there was one question which said, Pumsam Aikantikam Shreyaha Bruhi. So tell us what is the highest good of mankind. So that question is going to be answered in the next verse. What is the verse? Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktiradokshaje Ahaitukya Pratihata Yayatma Samprasidati. The Padacheda would be Saha, why, Pumsam, Paraha, Dharmaha, Yataha, Bhaktihi, Adhokshaje, Ahaituki, Apratihata, Yaya, Atma, Samprasidati. The Anvaya is यतः अधोक्षजे अहैतुकी अप्रतिहता आत्मा यया संप्रसीदति एतादृशी भक्तिः भवति सहा वै पुंसां परः धर्मः. The meaning would be saha means that. Why? Indeed. Pumsam, of human, of the mankind. Puman means man, but here man means the entire humanity. And Pumamsam is the Shashti Bahochanam. Puman, Pumamso, Pumamsaha, Pumamsam, Pumamso, Pumsaha, Pumsa, Pumbhyam, Pumbihi, Pumsaha, Pumsoho, Pumsam. So of the humankind, of the mankind. Paraha Dharmaha, the sublime duty or occupation. Yataha, by which bhaktihi, devotion, adhokshaje bhavati, in Sri Krishna shall be, which is ahayutaki, without any cause. Apratihataha, unblocked, unbroken, without any impediments. Yaya, by which only that kind of bhakti, Atma, the self, suprasidati, pleases, completely satisfied the mind. So the meaning of the verse is, that alone is the highest dharma or duty or occupation of men, from which follows devotion to Sri Krishna. A devotion which is absolutely motiveless and knows no obstruction, and the result of which devotion the soul realizes and understands the all joyful Sri Krishna and thus attains the purpose of life. So here Sridhara writes, the verse is talking about the highest duty or paro dharma. So Sridhara here explains what is dharma. Dharmo dvividaha. There are two different categories of dharma. And among these two, the highest is bhakti. That's what the verse was saying. And what are those two dharmas? Pravritti lakshanaha, nivritti lakshanascheti. Tatra swargadihi, if you go after happiness, it is called pravritti lakshanaha. Yataha dharma sravana adaraha, and the other one would be nivritti. So this pravritti and nivritti is the two kinds of dharmas. Dvivido hi vedokto dharmaha, pravritti lakshanaha, nivritti lakshanaha. So the Vedas talk about two kinds of dharmas, nivritti dharma and pravritti dharma. This twofold dharmas which are enjoined by the Veda, characterized by action, is called as pravritti. And if it is characterized by renunciation, by dropping all action, by knowledge, then that is called as nivritti. And this too is the cause of the sustenance of the world. Jagataha sthiti karanam. That's what Acharya says in the Bhashya. And this dharma is the direct cause of sreyaha, cause of prosperity, as well as nisreyaha, liberation for the intelligent seeker or aspirant. Why? Because it has been continuously practiced in the parampara by sages and others belonging to several classes and orders of life, the varnashrama dharmas. Why? Because they wished to secure sreyas, welfare, here in this world and then hereafter, this sreyas. So these sages, they laid down pravritti or the path of action and nivritti and the path of knowledge as two unmistakably distinct courses, never to be combined. You can never combine nivritti with pravritti. Each of them being meant for people of a particular level of evolution, a particular level of eligibility. The path of knowledge or nivritti marga, it demands total dedication of the aspirant to do meditation, deep reflection on these abstract truths regarding self, and only the mature Uttamadhikarin is eligible for this Nivritti Marga. His total dedication to Nididhyasana, to reflection, indicates his complete renunciation of a life of activity. Since it's only constant reflection on the self that directly will lead to self-actualization, which is perfection or liberation or mukti. So thus the path of knowledge alone is the direct, immediate means to Nisrayasam or the goal. Whereas the Pravritti Marga, the path of action, is only an indirect means to the goal. Why it leads one eventually closer to the path of jnanam or knowledge. Though this pravritti is indirect, it alone is the path for the not so mature madhyamadhikari. Why? Because he is ill equipped to pursue reflection on the self immediately. But by strict adherence to the path of action, unconditionally, his mind gets purified. The Antakarana Shuddhi happens. And only after the mind is completely cleansed of the impurities, he becomes eligible or capable to take the Jnana Marga, the path of knowledge. Now here Bhagavatam considers Bhakti in Adokshaja as Parodharma. It presents Bhakti as Parodharma as a most distinguished duty for both the aspirants of Pravritti and Nivritti Marga. That's what Sridhara says. Yatastu dharma sravana adaradi lakshana bhaktir bhavati sa parodharmaha. Sridhara says that is the parodharma. That is the most distinguished occupation, duty, which is the form of dharma sravana adaradi lakshana, which manifests, which in the form of a manifestation of an affectionate interest, adaradi lakshana, in listening to dharma adaradi lakshana, which manifests from the practice of either pravritti or nivritti marga. As both pravrittaha, the man of action, and nivrittaha, the man of knowledge, devour of this bhakti as the parodharma on different levels. In the case of the man of action, he can do this bhakti through phalasamarpanam, dedicating the fruits of all his actions to Bhagavan. So his conduct of his natural duties which life throws upon him is to be conducted as a worship of Parameshwara, as is clearly pointed out by Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 18th chapter, 46th verse. Swakarmana tamabhyarchya siddhim vindanti manavaha. So by conducting his natural duties, he has to do upasana of Parameshwara. But in the case of Nivritta, of Jnani, we have again Sri Krishna saying that he is the foremost among the devotees, most beloved to Sri Krishna, as he is his very self. He says that in the 7th chapter, 18th verse. Udara sarva evaite jnani tvatmaiva me matam. Jnani is verily my own self. And the highest devotion is pointed out as consisting in the knowledge of this supreme reality as Ananya, as oneself. So the Jnani Bhakta, who is in the Nivritti Marga, again is described by Bhagavad Pada, Adi Shankara, while commenting on the 13th chapter, 18th verse. The verse is Mad Bhakta Edad Vijnaya मद्भावायोपपद्यते मद्भक्तः मयि ईश्वरे सर्वज्ञे परमगुरौ वासुदेवे समर्पित सर्वात्मभावः यत् पश्यति शृणोति स्पृशति वा सर्वमेव भगवान् वासुदेवः इत्येवं ग्रह विशिष्ट आविष्ट बुद्धिः. So Bhagavad says, मयि ईश्वरे सर्वज्ञे परमगुरौ वासुदेवे, one who has devoted his undivided attention and whole being to me, Sri Krishna, the magnificent Lord, the omniscient, the preeminent teacher, Vasudeva, Paramaguru. And then what? Samarpida Sarvatma Bhavaha, yet Pashyati Srunodi Sprasati Va. He whose intellect or understanding is saturated with that all-possessing idea that all he sees, hears or touches, Sarvameva Bhagavan Vasudevaha, iti evam grahavishta buddhihi. It is none but Sri Vasudeva, whatever I see or feel. Thus, whose intellect or understanding is saturated with this all-possessing idea, he is a jnani bhakta, according to Shankara. Now in the verse, this bhakti is qualified by two more adjectives. One is ahaituki and the next one is apratihata. There Sridhara writes, Kadam Buddha sa bhaktihi ahaituki hetuhu phalanusandhanam tadrahita. So it has to be phalabhisandhana rahita. Bhakti or devotional service to Sri Krishna must be ahaituki or pure and unsullied by any longing or hankering for material things, which usually is the reason we engage in any action in the world. That is why Sridhara says, Hetuhu phala anusandhanam tadrahita, without the least hankering for material benefit. So one should therefore accept the superior quality of occupation or parodharmaha in the form of bhakti or devotional service to Ishta or Sri Krishna, which is ahaituki, without any tinge of unnecessary desire leading to self-centered action. And the next adjective is apratihata. Sridhara writes, Vignaihi anabhibhuta, not obstructed by obstacles, vignas. Here Rupa Goswami, he explains that sarvatha dhvamsarahitam satyapi dhvamsakarane, sarvata dhvamsarahitam satyapi dhvamsakarane. In spite of a strong reason, the all-possessing emotion does not disappear or wane away from the mind of the devotee, the aspirant. As Bhagavatam itself is going to say in the 3rd canto, 29th chapter, 12th verse. Mad gunasruti matrena mayi sarva guhashaye manogadiravichinna yata gangambhasum bhado lakshanam bhakti yogasya nirgunasya hyudahrutam ahaituki avyavahita ya bhakti purushottame. What he says apratihita in this verse, he presents as avyavahita in that 12th verse. So the manifestation of unsaturated devotional service is demonstrated when one's mind is at once attracted to hearing the name of Hari and the attributes, the Kalyana Gunas of Sri Krishna, who is residing in everybody's heart as Antaryami. The simile he gives in the verse is, just as the waters of Ganges flows naturally towards the ocean, such devotional rapture, uninterrupted by any material concern, flows towards Sri Krishna. Etadeva bhakti yogasya lakshanam. And what happens after this? That is said in the last line of the verse, last pada. Yayatma samprasidati. Yaya bhaktya atma, meaning manaha, samyageva prasidati, becomes completely satisfied. Why so? Bhaktyam satyam kama malinya abhave manaprasadam apnoti. Because the inhibiting factor of the mind being sullied by ashanti is kamadi malinya. And when that is removed by this parodharma, then naturally the mind becomes prasanna, shanta. Swasti prajabhyah paripalayantam न्यायेन मार्गेण महिं महिषा गो ब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ओम शांति शांति शांति।